We live in a world where time slips through our fingers like sand. Days blur into nights, and before we know it, another year is gone. Trust me. But what if I told you the chaos isn't the real problem? What if it's how we manage it? We've been taught that busyness equals success, that if you're not constantly moving, you're falling behind. But in the rush, we forget the most important thing, and that's living. You know, it took me a long time to realize that just because I was busy does not mean that I was moving forward. I used to think that the more I filled up my schedule, the more successful I'd be, but I was wrong. To be honest, I was just filling up time and not living in the moment. Yeah, we are living in an age of constant notifications. We getting work emails at 10 p.m., social media at the dinner table. It's all blending together, for real. And the worst part is, we think it's normal. We've become addicted to the noise. It's almost like silence is a real enemy. And like the more we scroll, the more disconnected we feel. We're present everywhere else except where it really matters. Yeah, I had to take a step back and ask myself, am I really living or am I just moving? It's very easy to add a whole bunch of things in one day in your schedule, right? Like, let's say if I go to the garment district and then I tell myself that I need to go buy some new zippers, and then I'm like, all right, when I get home, I'm gonna sew a zipper fly on my pants, and then I'm gonna edit a TikTok video, and then I'm gonna record a YouTube video. It's a lot. That's when I realized that busyness and productivity are not the same thing. One of them is just movement, and the other is progress. And honestly, that's when I realized I was trading my presence for productivity. It's wild because AI promised us efficiency, but it also raised our expectations too. Now we're expected to be faster, smarter, and always online. I get it. But hustle culture made us believe that if you're not grinding, you're falling behind, and that's not good. And to be honest, that's a lie. Like I said, we've mistaken movement for progress. We're running marathons on treadmills, burning energy, but never moving forward. You know what I'm saying? We traded our time for productivity, but lost our presence in the process. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I'm really hard on myself, but oftentimes I recognize the fact that I could be progressing at a more efficient rate if I was more intentional with what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? And I used to always feel guilty for not having a certain amount of things on my list throughout the week. Like, let's say if I needed 20 things done in a week, right? I realized that it's better to have one specific thing a day, like one major goal, one minor goal, knock those out consistently as opposed to having like 5 things per day. Because what I found was that I started feeling much more burnt out, and because my expectations were so high, I wasn't able to deliver in a way where I was showing up as my best self, because I was giving 100%, 100%, 100% every day, and you cannot do that. Progress is literally like 10%, 25%, 45%, 5%. There's going to be days where you're not able to give 100%, but at least you gave something. It's better to give your focus to 1 or 2 major things in your day consistently over time, as opposed to throwing a whole bunch on your to-do list. Hustle culture taught me how to move, but it did not teach me how to live. I got my bachelor's degree from the Fashion Institute of Technology. And when I tell you that the fashion culture is probably like one of the most toxic places when it comes to stuff, bro. Like, people would compete about who got the least amount of sleep. It would literally be like, hey, wow, I'm so tired. I got about like 3 or 4 hours of sleep last night. And then somebody would be like, well, I pulled an all-nighter and then I went to work this morning. And then somebody would be like, well, my cat had to go to the vet and then I had work and then I had to hand in a project and I didn't eat for 2 days. And it's like, bro, why are we competing about not taking care of ourselves? And honestly, I think what happens is that we wear those things as a badge of honor to be able to glorify our accomplishments. And even after I graduated from school and I stepped out into the real world, I was taking that same mentality with me everywhere. So I was still pulling all-nighters. I was pushing my body way past its limits and not eating properly. And I was like skipping out on meals so I can like finish these pants in a day or 2 just to say that I did it. I started to realize that my health was like literally deteriorating. My mental health was deteriorating, and I was doing so well with my art. My output was great, and I'm happy that I did that at the time. But as time went on, I realized that I have to take care of myself and I have to pace myself. The first step to reclaiming our time is prioritization. Over time, I had to change how I viewed my tasks. I made sure I had the urgent, important, and then I would delegate and then eliminate. I'm telling you, Time blocking helped me lock in on what truly mattered. And I'm telling you, out of nowhere, my days weren't as cluttered. And it wasn't about cramming more into my schedule. It was about making more space. Like, I needed space to breathe, space to create, space to live. One of the most important things I realized is that we have to make time for play. And people think that having time for play or creativity is just a waste of time. It's really not. A while back, I read that making time for play actually increases your brain elasticity and it helps you make better decisions in your life. I personally believe that any field, any position, or anything that we're doing in life has to do with creativity. Even problem solving is creative because people are coming up with different methods, different ideas, and testing different things to make sure that things are running smoothly. It's the same thing for fashion design, it's the same thing with music, dance, marketing, etc. When I finally learned how to manage my time, it wasn't just about efficiency. It was about reclaiming my whole life. I had time to actually be present, to design, to live. And it was like stepping out of chaos and into clarity, finally. I used to spend hours manually posting, answering emails, scrolling endlessly. But now, automation handles the busy work for real. Scheduled posts, curated feeds, and I only see what inspires me. I try not to spend too much time scrolling on my social media. It wasn't just about deleting the apps for me, it was literally about just reclaiming my time, freeing myself from the constant noise, and stepping back into my own life. So today we learned that time management isn't just about cutting out distractions. It's about building a life that matters. When I started aligning my time with my purpose, everything changed, and it could change for you too. I wasn't just designing clothes anymore, I was literally designing my life. You can only imagine how that feels. Here's the truth. Most people will go their whole entire lives never reclaiming their time, never realizing that the busyness that they wore like a badge of honor is the same exact thing that's stealing their life away. But the truth is, it does not have to be you. You could really change it. Starting today, it's time for you to reclaim your time and design your life with intention. Because if you don't, someone else will.